Here's our final day at the Mount McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge. About ready to have breakfast. Right there.
Morning.
Have
Yep. Morning
breakfast. Morning, family and friends, as we say.
Yep.
It's gloomy.
Yep.
We didn't go on our morning walk, our lake walk, whatever. The timing just wasn't right for when we had to get out of here and board the bus to the train and take a train to Anchorage today. So we're going to go into the lodge and have breakfast. Here's the back of the lodge. Base Camp Bar and Grill. Beautiful flowers here. I wonder what this is. Kind of looks like squash, maybe? I don't know.
Squash or pumpkins or something.
Pumpkins, yeah. These things are huge. I would say rhubarb, but I don't think that's... You think it's rhubarb? Kind of looks like rhubarb, the stems. Well, so we're going to take this lodge trail home onto our room. Comes up by the Alaskan grill by our building. One of our last hikes in Alaska on this trip. Nice little walking path. Oh, you see these trees are starting to turn color here. This birch tree here. Pretty soon, oh, I bet you this place lights up like fire. There's a stream, there's a river down there, and a road across the way. Yeah. What's this now? What'd you say?
One of the bus drivers told us that moss only grows on the trees where there's no pollution.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget what it was called.
Ah. Breathing clean Alaskan air. That concludes our big hike of the day.
Yeah, nice little walk.
Yeah.
Oh.
Different way to get back here. Too bad we couldn't take advantage of this.
Yeah.
With these fire pits. Oh well. Here's a restaurant we didn't check out, some kind of grill, bar and grill. All right, back to the room. Wait around for a bit. Alaskan bush pilots. This is an actual replica. This is an actual plane, not a replica, but it's an actual plane that this guy named Hudson, who we learned about yesterday, flew. They restored this. It was covered up, and now they restored it again. But he used to fly supplies in this thing all around the Alaskan range, picking up people, dropping off supplies. This is their only means, the folks that lived out here, is their only means of getting supplies in at one point. This gentleman right here, Cliff Hudson, one of Alaska's most well-known early bush pilots. He flew small planes for over 4 decades, opening up the wilderness around Denali to climbers, homesteaders, and tourists.
Hey folks. Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
Great. Well, we're going to do a really fast safety speech. So before we get rolling here, I just want to point out the most dangerous part of the train, the 3-inch cliff getting in and out of your seat. So please be careful of that. That gets people all the time. And the more moose berries you drink, the steeper that gets. So please just be extra careful there. And we get rocking and rolling sometimes. So please just maintain 3 points of contact. You're free to get up and roam around. As you can see, we have a lot of room for activity.
Hey,
Folks, if you do decide to get up and move around, which you are welcome to, please just remember your assigned
You're on air.
seat, because Alexa
Hi.
did open your
It's
bar
on our
tab
way to
that
Anchorage.
seat. So if you
Last
buy
leg.
any souvenirs, which we do have a gift shop guide.
Wow. That's a long train with a lot of those cars.
For a very unique service called the Flag Stop service. So you were in, have you all been to Denali yet? You did Denali and then you came back through and you stayed in Talkeetna? Is that, you stayed in Talkeetna for a night? Yeah. At the, oh right outside of Talkeetna, that one. So between Hurricane Gulch, so I don't know if you crossed the Hurricane Gulch, it's a big, amazing bridge. From that bridge, 60 miles south to Talkeetna is a completely remote stretch. No road access in and out of there. So there are lots of people who live out there too. Sometimes just summer recreational cabins, sometimes year-rounders. But the only way in and out of there is by flag stop train. So what that means is anywhere in that 60-mile stretch, you can walk up to the train tracks, wave a white flag, and the train will stop and pick you up. It has to be the flag stop train. It's very specifically the flag stop service. But as long as you have the timetable and you come to the tracks around the time that the train's supposed to be by, you can flag them down and they will bring you where you're going. So it's a really unique service, and it does operate 2 times a week in the winter and every day in the summer months. So they get folks in and out of that wilderness area, and it is true Alaskan wilderness living out there. Like, there's nothing out there. So all of those structures, all those homes are completely off grid, no running water, no electricity, nothing. So it is not for the faint of heart. You have to be pretty hardy to make it out there, especially year round. It started as the agricultural hub that it now is today back in 1935, when President Franklin Roosevelt offered 203 families a New Deal. He selected families who had been most hit by the Great Depression, most impacted by the Great Depression, and families from Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And he selected families from those states because he thought that the climate most resembled that of Matanuska Valley here. So he offered all of those families a fresh start here in the Valley, but it ended up being a lot harder than anyone anticipated. There was no infrastructure here. So everyone showed up in the mid-1930s only to find nothing really. So, and they had a lot of logistical problems. Things happening like school desks arriving before the lumber to build the schoolhouse, and all sorts of things happening backwards, out of order, and it made life even more difficult for those families who tried to come up here and start new. So unfortunately, within the first 5 years, half of those families left. There are about 6 of those original families, though, that are still passing on the tradition of farming through the generations. And we actually host the Alaska State Fair nearby in Palmer, and it actually starts tomorrow, so the 19th, and it's 2 weeks long. So it will be starting tomorrow, and we have some world record produce coming out of this valley, and they'll be weighing all of the produce again at the state fair, so I'm kind of hoping for updated numbers, but I do like to play a little guessing game with the large produce coming out of the valley. Consider some of the variables though. So before we jump into guessing the weights of all of these enormous produce, if you leave produce on the vine for too long, it's no longer good for eating. It's not good tasting anymore, but that's not the case here because things grow so fast. It gets large very fast. So it may be enormous, but it is actually still young and tender and good tasting. And this is the Kinnick River that we're crossing right now. Notice how murky it is. There's a lot of glacial silt suspended in this river. It's flowing down from the Kinnick Glacier up in the Chugach Mountains on the left and over into the Kinnick Arm on the right. I'll say a little bit more about the Kinnick Arm in just a bit. Earth, allowing salt water into the freshwater table. And it pickled some trees in place. So these trees coming up right here on the right, these trees are just pickled in place. We call them ghost forests. So this is one of the last remnants from that earthquake that I can actually point out to you here. Make a difference for you.
It's the all-new Subway Series menu. 12 irresistible new subs. I never lie. The Champ, rotisserie style chicken. Double Monterey Chef. The Champ is truly made for a chef. Thanks, Chuck. Who said anything about you?
So here we are in our Captain Cook hotel in Anchorage, Alaska. Rosemary just had her shower. She's all refreshed, ready to go. We got our bags packed. And here's a view out of our hotel room. in Anchorage, Alaska. It's raining, but there's a good view of, I don't know if that's Turnagain Bay or Turnagain Arm or the Cook Inlet, but we're at the Captain Cook Hotel, so that might be the Cook Inlet over there. I don't know. And here's a look out of one window. I'll take it to the next window. So here's the other side of the window. And yes, there's a Hilton over there. We should be there. I mean, geez, I'm on the 5th floor here. I feel like a pauper. Anyway, so yeah, this is Anchorage from our hotel room. Oh, and you can see the mountains in the background there. So that'll be the wrap for tonight. Good night from Anchorage, Alaska. Tomorrow we're going to do a tour of the city, so we'll show you that. And then we have a 9 o'clock flight from Newark, or from Anchorage, hopefully to Newark. Hopefully, I say, after all the crap we've gone through on the airlines. So good night from Anchorage, Alaska. We'll see you tomorrow.